There is a moment in every woman's mind where interest begins turning into obsession, where curiosity becomes attachment, and where attraction deepens into something she can't easily shake. Most men never reach that level because they don't understand what actually affects a woman's psychology. They chase, they pressure, they try too hard, and they end up killing the very desire they were trying to create. But when you understand what truly pulls a woman in emotionally, mentally, and subconsciously, you stop chasing obsession. You become the source of it. The first thing to understand is that a woman doesn't become obsessed because of looks, money, or status. Those things can spark attention, but they do not build fixation. Obsession comes from emotional impact. It comes from how you make her feel in your presence and how you make her feel in your absence. When a man knows how to influence those internal states, he becomes unforgettable to a woman, even when she tries to move on. It begins with psychological presence. When she talks, you listen, not politely but attentively, showing her that her inner world matters. Most men listen to respond. Very few listen to understand. When she feels understood, she becomes emotionally anchored to you, because people crave those who get them without judgment. A woman becomes obsessed with a man who can see her beyond the surface, because he becomes a rare experience in her life. But presence is not the same as availability. Many men misunderstand this part. They think women want constant attention and non-stop validation. In reality, a woman becomes obsessed when your attention is meaningful but not guaranteed. She wants connection, not dependency. She wants access to you, but not ownership of you. When you value your goals, your peace, your discipline, and your direction above her approval, she begins to admire you. And admiration is the foundation of obsession. Women are drawn to men who live with intention. A man who knows where he's going creates an emotional pull she can't resist. She becomes invested in his path because she sees the strength in his focus. This is where psychology becomes powerful. When a man carries purpose, he carries gravity. And gravity is what makes her orbit around him, willingly and instinctively. She starts to think about him when he's not around, not because he asked her to, but because her mind keeps returning to the idea of him. Another psychological principle that creates obsession is unpredictability. Not in a toxic way, but in a stimulating way. When she can predict everything you will say, do, or feel, her emotional engagement decreases. But when you maintain a sense of individuality, when you have layers she discovers slowly, when you surprise her with depth she didn't expect, she becomes mentally invested. Humans chase what they cannot fully figure out. Mystery is not about hiding. It's about revealing yourself gradually in a way that keeps her interested. But while mystery attracts her mind, emotional safety binds her heart. A woman becomes obsessed with the man who can hold her emotions without letting them control him. When she's upset, you stay calm. When she's overwhelmed, you are steady. When she tests your patience, you don't break. This stability makes her feel secure in ways she rarely feels in life. A woman obsesses over the man who becomes her peace when the world feels chaotic and who becomes her challenge when the world feels easy. And yet the strongest psychological secret is self-respect. When you show her that you honor yourself, that you don't chase, that you don't beg, that you don't overextend, you elevate your value in her eyes. Women do not become obsessed with men who give them everything too quickly. They become obsessed with men whose presence is rewarding but not dependent, whose attention feels earned rather than handed out. The moment she realizes you are not afraid to walk away, she begins to fear losing you. And that fear is what intensifies desire. One of the most powerful things a man can do is maintain emotional control. Not robotic coldness, but mastery. When she sees that you can feel deeply without becoming unstable, she becomes drawn to your emotional strength. Women fear men who are emotionally chaotic, but they crave men who are emotionally grounded. She becomes obsessed with the man who can navigate conflict calmly, who speaks with intention, who doesn't let anger or insecurity determine his behavior. Another secret lies in how you handle silence. Most men rush to fill silence, fearing it signals disinterest. But when you can sit with silence confidently, it becomes a psychological message. It shows her you are comfortable with yourself. It shows her you don't need validation. It shows her you do not fear tension or depth. Silence shapes attraction because it forces her to feel your presence rather than escape it. And when she's thinking in that silence, she's thinking about you. A woman also becomes obsessed with how you challenge her. Not in a disrespectful way, but in a way that makes her grow. When you call out her inconsistencies with kindness, when you hold her accountable with firmness, when you inspire her to be better simply by being who you are, she experiences an emotional awakening around you. Women fall harder for men who elevate their standards than for men who simply agree with everything they say. But obsession requires balance: desire plus stability, mystery plus clarity, strength plus vulnerability. A woman becomes obsessed with a man who can reveal a part of himself that no one else sees. When you share your pains carefully, your dreams honestly, your experiences meaningfully, she feels trusted. And trust makes a woman attach deeply. She becomes invested in your story because she feels chosen to witness it. This emotional privilege forms a bond that grows stronger with every moment she spends around you. The next psychological factor is how you navigate boundaries. A woman becomes fascinated with a man who sets boundaries without apologizing. When you say no with confidence, when you protect your time, when you expect respect, you communicate value. Women chase men they respect. They invest emotionally in men who refuse to be disrespected. Boundaries are magnetic because they separate men who need attention from men who command admiration. Another powerful secret is unpredictably honest affection. When you show affection not out of routine, but out of genuine feeling, she becomes emotionally tuned to you. A sudden compliment, an unexpected gesture of warmth, a moment of sincere appreciation. These things strike deeper when they're not predictable. She begins to crave those moments, wondering when the next one will come. That craving evolves into obsession. A woman also becomes obsessed with a man who remains emotionally independent. Not distant, but whole. She can see you care. She can feel your connection. But she also sees that your happiness does not depend on her. That independence makes her respect you, admire you, and desire you even more. A man who can stand on his own becomes the very man she wants to stand beside. The final and most powerful psychological secret is emotional imprinting. When you create experiences and moments that leave a mark on her, she carries you everywhere she goes. The laughter you share, the conversations that go deeper than she expected, the moments where she felt seen, valued, and understood, these become emotional anchors. They replay in her mind at night. They revisit her heart during the day. This imprinting is what makes a woman unable to forget you. It's not manipulation, it's connection. And when done sincerely, it becomes the root of obsession. A woman becomes obsessed when she realizes you offer something rare: strength without cruelty, confidence without arrogance, purpose without neediness, affection without weakness, challenge without disrespect, and presence without pressure. When you embody these qualities, she doesn't just like you. She doesn't just want you. She becomes emotionally attached to you in ways she can't easily detach from. She thinks about you while working. She remembers your voice when you're gone. She replays your words, your look, your tone, trying to decode the depth behind them. You become the quiet thought in her mind she doesn't admit to anyone else. And that quiet thought grows into longing. That longing grows into fascination. And that fascination becomes obsession. Not because you forced it, not because you begged for it, but because you understood female psychology well enough to show up as the kind of man her mind, body, and emotions cannot ignore.